The invitation to my sister Olivia's wedding sat on my kitchen counter for 3 weeks before I could bring myself to open it. The cream-colored envelope with its gold calligraphy seemed to mock me every time I walked past, a reminder of everything I couldn't do, like stand for more than 10 minutes without excruciating pain, or walk without a cane on my bad days, or be the perfect bridesmaid my sister had always assumed I'd be. When I finally opened it, a handful of items spilled out: the formal invitation, a bridesmaid proposal card decorated with roses and hearts, and a detailed schedule of pre-wedding events that made my spine ache just reading it. Bridal shower, 4-hour standing reception dress fittings, multiple 2-hour sessions bachelorette weekend, 3 days in wine country wedding rehearsal and dinner, the ceremony itself. Traditional church wedding with long aisle. I reached for my pain medication, my hands shaking slightly as I counted out the familiar pills. The disc herniation in my lower back had been getting worse over the past year. Each day a new lesson in what parts of a normal life I had to give up. The surgery I'd been waiting for, a complex procedure that could potentially give me my life back, was finally scheduled for next month, the same month as Olivia's wedding. My phone buzzed with an incoming call. Olivia's familiar face lighting up the screen. Here we go, I thought, taking a deep breath before answering. Sophie, did you get it? Isn't it gorgeous? Olivia's voice bubbled through the speaker. I just know you're going to look amazing in burgundy. The dress I picked out for the bridesmaids is absolutely perfect. About that, I started carefully. Liv, we need to talk about the timing. I know, it's a lot of events, she interrupted. But that's what being maid of honor is all about. You're my only sister, Sophie. I need you there for everything. Olivia. I tried again. I have my surgery scheduled for the 15th. That's 2 days before your wedding. The silence that followed was deafening. Well, obviously you'll have to reschedule it, she finally said, her voice suddenly sharp. This is my wedding, Sophie. I've been planning this for a year. I've been waiting for this surgery for 18 months, I reminded her. It took forever to get on Dr. Harrison's schedule. She's the best spinal surgeon in the state. So find another doctor, or wait a few more months. It's not like you're dying or anything. I closed my eyes, counting to 10 silently. I can barely walk some days, Olivia. The nerve damage is getting worse. If I wait too long, some of the effects could be permanent. You're being dramatic, she scoffed. I saw you at Christmas and you were fine. Because I was on double my usual dose of pain medication just to make it through dinner. My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. You have no idea what this has been like. What I know is that my sister is trying to ruin my wedding with her convenient health problems, Olivia snapped. You've always been like this, Sophie. Always needing attention, always having some crisis that makes everything about you. The accusation hit like a slap. When have I ever made anything about me? I've spent my whole life stepping back, letting you have the spotlight. Even now, I'm trying to explain a serious medical situation and you're acting like I scheduled major surgery just to spite you. It gets so serious, why haven't you had it fixed before now? Why wait until my wedding? Because that's when the surgeon had an opening. Because insurance took months to approve it. Because that's how the real world works when you're dealing with chronic health issues. Well, the real world also expects sisters to be there for each other's weddings. Olivia said coldly. Mom agrees with me. She said you're just being selfish. Of course she did. Our mother had always taken Olivia's side, always pushed me to accommodate my sister's demands no matter the personal cost. I can't reschedule the surgery, I said firmly. I'm sorry, but I just can't. Then I guess you can't be my maid of honor either, or come to the wedding at all. I don't want someone with a cane ruining my photos anyway. She hung up before I could respond. The next few weeks were a blur of angry text messages and family pressure. Mom called daily, alternating between guilt trips and outright manipulation. Your sister has dreamed of this wedding since she was a little girl, she pleaded. How can you be so cruel as to miss it? By following my doctor's orders, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Did you even look at the medical information I sent you? Oh please, everyone has back pain sometimes. When I was your age, I hung up. She hadn't looked at the medical records. None of them had. The MRI images showing the severe herniation, the nerve conduction studies documenting the progressive damage, the photos of the bruises from falling when my leg gave out unexpectedly, the daily pain logs I kept for months. They didn't want to see the evidence. It was easier to believe I was being difficult, seeking attention, trying to steal Olivia's spotlight. Even Dad, usually the voice of reason, seemed to have been worn down by the constant drama. "Can't you just push through it?" he asked during one of his rare calls. "For your sister's sake, you could take extra medication for the day." "That's not how this works," I tried to explain. "The surgery requires weeks of recovery. I'll be in a back brace, Dad. I won't be able to stand for long periods or wear heels or dance. Even if I postponed it, I physically cannot be the bridesmaid Olivia wants." "But you'd be there," he said softly. "That's what matters." "No," I corrected him. "What matters is that I can walk without pain. What matters is preventing permanent nerve damage. What matters is my health." The final straw came 3 weeks before the wedding. I was leaving my pre-op appointment when I ran into Olivia in the hospital parking lot. "Are you stalking me now?" I asked, gripping my cane tightly as pain shot down my leg. "I came to talk sense into you," she declared. "And to prove you're exaggerating this whole thing." She grabbed my arm, trying to pull me toward her car. The sudden movement sent a wave of agony through my back, making my legs buckle. I would have fallen if a passing nurse hadn't caught me. "Ma'am," the nurse said sharply to Olivia, "please step back. Can't you see she's in pain?" "She's faking," Olivia insisted, but her voice wavered as she watched the nurse help me sit on a nearby bench. "She's always been good at getting people to feel sorry for her." The nurse's face hardened. "I work in the neurology department. I've seen your sister's scans. Believe me, no one could fake that level of spinal damage." Something flickered across Olivia's face. Doubt? Concern? But it quickly hardened into familiar anger. "Fine," she spat. "Have your surgery, miss my wedding. But don't expect to be part of my life after this. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a sister anymore." She stormed off, leaving me shaking on the bench as the nurse called for a wheelchair to help me back inside. That night, I made a decision. I'd spent years managing my pain quietly, trying not to inconvenience anyone, making myself smaller to fit into my family's expectations. But I was done hiding. The next morning, I gathered every medical record, every scan, every photograph documenting my condition. I had them professionally bound into a presentation folder, complete with doctors' notes and treatment timelines. Then I sent a copy to every member of the bridal party, every family member attending the wedding, and every friend who'd been sending me guilt-tripping messages. My phone started ringing almost immediately, but I didn't answer. They had plenty of chances to listen. Now they could read the truth for themselves. What I didn't expect was the text that came 3 days later, from my cousin Rachel, Olivia's other bridesmaid. "There's something you need to know about Olivia and your surgery date. Something I overheard her say to your mom. When can we meet?" I stared at the message for a long time, my hands shaking as I typed my response. Something told me I wasn't going to like what Rachel had to say, but I needed to hear it. We arranged to meet the next day at a quiet cafe near my apartment. Little did I know, what Rachel was about to tell me would change everything, not just about the wedding, but about my relationship with my family forever. Rachel was already waiting when I arrived at the cafe, nervously shredding a paper napkin. She jumped up to help me with my chair, her eyes tracking the careful way I lowered myself to sit. "I'm so sorry," she blurted out. "I had no idea how bad it was. None of us did. We should have listened." I managed a small smile. "You're not the one who needs to apologize. But thank you." She took a deep breath. That's actually why I needed to talk to you. It's about Olivia. And your surgery date." My stomach clenched. "What about it? I overheard her talking to your mom at the final dress fitting last week." "Sophie." Rachel's voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Olivia knew about your surgery date months ago, before she even set the wedding date." The world seemed to tilt sideways. "What?" "Dr. Harrison's office called your mom's house by mistake back in January when they were scheduling your surgery. They left a message about the April 15th date." Rachel's hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. "I recorded part of what Olivia said at the fitting. I know it was wrong to record secretly, but you need to hear this." She pressed play. Olivia's voice filled the space between us. "Of course I knew about her surgery date. Why do you think I picked that weekend? Sophie's always been the special one with her problems and her issues. Everything always has to be about her. Well, not this time. My wedding is going to be perfect, and she'll have to choose. Be there for my special day or go through with her emergency surgery. Either way, I win. Either she shows up and I prove she was exaggerating the whole thing, or she misses my wedding and everyone sees what a selfish person she really is. Mom's voice responded, I don't know, Olivia. The medical records she sent. It looks pretty serious. Please, she's always been good at finding doctors to believe her drama. Remember when she needed physical therapy in high school and missed my dance recital? Or when she was too sick to come to my college graduation? She's been pulling this stuff for years. The recording ended. I sat there frozen as memories crashed over me. The back injury from the car accident in high school that started all this. The weeks of physical therapy I'd needed just to walk again. The graduation I'd missed because I was in the emergency room with unbearable pain. All those times I pushed through, suffered silently, tried not to be a burden. And my sister had deliberately scheduled her wedding to conflict with my surgery, had purposely tried to force me to choose between my health and her wedding. There's more, Rachel said quietly. I did some digging. You know how Olivia kept insisting she'd been planning this wedding for a year. She only booked the venue 3 months ago, right after your surgery was scheduled. She could have picked any other weekend. Hot tears spilled down my cheeks. She wanted me to suffer. I think. Rachel hesitated. I think she wanted to prove you were lying. About everything. The pain, the disability, all of it. She couldn't handle the idea that your problems were real because that would mean that she'd been wrong all these years. I finished. That every time she accused me of seeking attention or faking it for sympathy, she was actually being cruel to someone who was genuinely suffering. Rachel reached across the table and squeezed my hand. What are you going to do? I wiped my eyes, straightening in my chair despite the pain it caused. I'm going to the wedding rehearsal tomorrow night. But your surgery is still happening as scheduled, I assured her. But first, I'm going to give my sister exactly what she's always wanted, everyone's attention. The church was packed for the rehearsal. Not just the wedding party, but extended family, friends, and what seemed like half the town. Olivia had always known how to draw a crowd. I waited until they were practicing the processional, watched Olivia directing everyone into their places with military precision. Then I walked slowly down the center aisle, my cane tapping against the floor in a steady rhythm. The church fell silent. Sophie, Olivia's voice was sharp with warning. What are you doing here? Exactly what you wanted, I said, my voice carrying in a quiet space. I'm making a scene. I pulled out my phone and played Rachel's recording. Olivia's own voice filled the church, echoing off the walls as she detailed her cruel plan. When it finished, I played the voicemail from Dr. Harrison's office, the one confirming my surgery date months before Olivia had set her wedding date. You knew, I said into the silence that followed. You knew I had major surgery scheduled, and you deliberately chose that date for your wedding. You wanted to force me to choose between my health and your special day. I didn't, Olivia sputtered, but Mom cut her off. Is this true? Mom's face had gone pale. Did you really schedule your wedding just to conflict with Sophie's surgery? Olivia's composure cracked. She's always been like this. Always having some crisis, some problem that makes everyone focus on her instead of me. I just wanted one day that was about me. Every day has been about you. I shot back. Every time I was in pain, every time I needed help, I was told to keep quiet because it might upset you. Do you know what it's like to live with chronic pain? To feel your body betraying you bit by bit while your own family accuses you of making it up? I pulled up my dress slightly, showing the surgical sock and ankle brace I wore for stability. This is from falling last week when my leg gave out. But you wouldn't know that because you were too busy telling everyone I was faking. Dad stepped forward, his face ashen. Sophie, I had no idea. None of you did? I cut him off. Because none of you wanted to know. It was easier to believe I was seeking attention than to accept that your healthy daughter, your perfect sister, could actually be disabled. I turned back to Olivia. You want attention. Fine, you have everyone's attention now. Tell them why you chose this date. Tell them why you were willing to risk your own sister's health for your perfect wedding photos. Olivia's face crumpled. I didn't think it was really that serious. You always bounced back before. No, I corrected her. I always hid how bad it was. I always pushed through the pain because that's what everyone expected. But I'm done hiding. I pulled out the bound medical records I brought with me. This is what you didn't want to see. 8 years of medical records, surgical consultations, photographs of injuries from falls, pain logs, treatment attempts. I started passing out copies to the stunned wedding party. Page 37 shows the progression of nerve damage. I continued, my voice steady despite the tears running down my face. Page 42 has the latest MRI results. Page 50 shows what happens if I don't get this surgery. Permanent disability, possible paralysis. The church was so quiet you could hear pages turning as people read. "Oh God," Mom whispered. "All this time?" "Yes," I said simply. "All this time." Olivia had sunk into a pew, her perfect makeup streaked with tears. "I didn't know. I swear, Sophie, I didn't understand." "You didn't want to understand," I corrected her. "Understanding would mean admitting you've been wrong all these years. That every time you accused me of seeking attention, you were actually adding to my pain." I turned to leave, but Olivia's voice stopped me. "Wait. What? What about the wedding?" I looked back at my sister, seeing for the first time not the confident bully she'd become, but the scared little girl who'd always needed to be the center of attention. "The wedding will be beautiful," I said softly. "You'll have your perfect photos without my cane ruining the aesthetic. And I'll have my surgery, which will hopefully let me walk without pain for the first time in years. We both get what we want." "That's not what I want," Olivia whispered. "Not anymore." She stood up, wobbling slightly in her high heels. "Everyone, I have an announcement. The wedding is postponed." A gasp went through the crowd. "My sister needs surgery," Olivia continued, her voice growing stronger. "Major surgery that I knew about and deliberately tried to interfere with because I was jealous and cruel and wrong. So very wrong." She walked over to me, careful not to grab my arm this time. "Can you ever forgive me?" I studied her face, seeing real remorse there for the first time. "Forgiveness will take time," I said honestly. "And therapy, lots of therapy, for both of us and probably the whole family." "I'll postpone the wedding until you're recovered," she offered. "We can look at dates in the fall, when you're stronger. And we'll find a way for you to be comfortable during the ceremony, a special chair for the processional, flat shoes, whatever you need." That's a start," I acknowledged. "But what I really need is for you to believe me. About my pain, about my limitations, about all of it. No more accusations of faking or exaggerating. No more competing for attention. Just support." Olivia nodded, tears flowing freely now. "I promise, and I'll make sure everyone else understands too." That was 3 months ago. My surgery was successful, though recovery has been a long, slow process. True to her word, Olivia postponed the wedding until October, when I'll be strong enough to stand with her, using a decorative cane that she helped pick out to match the bridesmaid dresses. Mom and Dad have been attending therapy with me, finally confronting years of dismissing my health issues. Last week, Mom cried while apologizing for not believing me sooner. Dad's installed handrails in their house for when I visit, and he calls regularly to check on my recovery progress. As for Olivia, she's changed in ways I never expected. She comes to my physical therapy sessions, not to judge but to understand. She's become an advocate for chronic pain awareness, even starting a support group at her workplace. Yesterday, she brought over a photo album she'd found, pictures from our childhood, before the accident that started all this. There was one of us playing dress up, both in Mom's old wedding dress, taking turns being the bride. "I'm sorry I lost sight of what matters," she said, touching the photo gently. "I got so caught up in having the perfect wedding that I forgot about having the perfect sister. One who's been fighting battles I didn't even try to understand." "We both lost sight of things," I admitted. "You needed attention because you felt overshadowed by my health issues. I needed support but didn't know how to ask for it. We stopped seeing each other as sisters and started seeing each other as competition." She helped me adjust my back pillow, something that would have been unthinkable 4 months ago. "Well, I see you now, little sister. All of you, your strength, your pain, your courage. And I'm standing with you, even when you can't stand on your own." October's wedding will be different from what Olivia originally planned. The venue is more accessible, the schedule adapted for my energy levels. My cane will be in all the photos because it's part of who I am, not something to be hidden. But the biggest difference will be in us. 2 sisters who finally understand that attention and support aren't finite resources to be competed for, but gifts to be shared. sometimes through pain, sometimes through joy, but always together. And that's worth more than any perfect wedding photo could ever be.